What if the most devastating betrayal in history wasn't committed by an enemy, but by a friend? What if the strongest disciple completely collapsed at the moment he was needed most? And what if one kiss, one single kiss, changed the course of human history forever? The first trailer for The Chosen Season 6 has finally arrived, and it may be the darkest, most emotional, and most heartbreaking chapter the series has ever attempted. Judas is approaching his moment of betrayal. Peter is heading toward his greatest failure. The disciples are beginning to scatter. And Jesus is walking toward the cross. But here's the terrifying part. Everyone thinks they know how this story ends. Yet somehow, this trailer makes it feel more suspenseful than ever. Let's break down every major moment, hidden detail, and emotional clue from The Chosen Season 6 trailer. And trust me, the final scenes may completely change the way fans view Peter, Judas, and even the crucifixion itself. The trailer opens with something almost unsettling. Silence. No battles. No miracles. No crowds cheering. Just a feeling that something is terribly wrong. And that feeling is exactly what makes these opening moments so powerful. Season 5 ended with tension filling every corner of Jerusalem. Religious leaders were growing desperate. Rome was becoming increasingly nervous. And Jesus had openly challenged the authorities in ways never seen before. Now Season 6 appears ready to show the consequences. The trailer presents Jerusalem almost like a city sitting on a powder keg. Everyone senses something is coming. Nobody realizes how devastating it will be. What's fascinating is how the trailer avoids immediate action. Instead, it focuses on faces. Fearful faces. Anxious faces. Conflicted faces. The kind of expressions that tell us these characters are about to face impossible choices. And at the center of all of it stands Judas. Let's talk about the moment everyone has been waiting for. The betrayal. The trailer repeatedly highlights Judas in isolation. Unlike previous seasons, he appears disconnected from the other disciples. Alone. Troubled. Haunted. And that's important. Because great tragedies rarely happen in a single moment. They happen gradually. One bad decision. One compromise. One justification. Until eventually there's no turning back. The trailer suggests that Judas may be wrestling with enormous internal conflict. Does he believe he's forcing Jesus to reveal his power? Does he think he's helping? Or has greed and disappointment completely consumed him? The brilliance of The Chosen has always been its ability to humanize biblical figures without changing their significance. And this trailer seems determined to make Judas' downfall feel deeply personal. Then comes the image everyone recognizes. The garden. The soldiers. The approaching torches. And finally, the kiss. A gesture normally associated with love. Transformed into one of history's most infamous acts of betrayal. It's chilling. Because Jesus knows exactly what's happening. Judas knows exactly what's happening. And yet neither stops it. Think about that for a second. The most painful betrayals are often committed by people we trust the most. That's what gives this scene its emotional power. But as devastating as Judas' betrayal may be, it isn't the only collapse we're about to witness. Because Peter's story may be even more heartbreaking. If Judas represents betrayal, Peter represents fear. And Season 6 appears ready to explore that fear in devastating detail. Throughout previous seasons, Peter has been portrayed as courageous, passionate, and fiercely loyal. He's often the first to act. The first to speak. And sometimes the first to make mistakes. But now he's facing something different. He's facing terror. Real terror. The trailer shows increasing chaos after Jesus' arrest. The disciples are scattered. Authorities are searching. Crowds are turning hostile. Suddenly being associated with Jesus becomes dangerous. Very dangerous. And that's when Peter's confidence begins to crack. Imagine following someone for years, witnessing miracles, watching impossible things happen, declaring absolute loyalty, then suddenly facing the possibility of arrest, torture, or death. What would you do? Most people like to believe they'd stay strong. History suggests otherwise. The trailer heavily hints at Peter's famous denial. 3 opportunities. 3 chances. 3 failures. And that's what makes the moment so tragic. Peter doesn't stop loving Jesus. He simply becomes overwhelmed by fear. There's a difference. And the chosen seems determined to explore that difference with incredible emotional depth. But while Peter battles fear, Jerusalem itself is descending into chaos. One thing viewers may overlook is how much emphasis the trailer places on the city itself. Jerusalem almost feels like a character. Crowds moving through narrow streets. Roman soldiers increasing their presence. Religious leaders maneuvering behind closed doors. Fear spreading from person to person. The atmosphere feels explosive. And honestly, if Jerusalem had a Yelp review during these events, it probably wouldn't be getting 5 stars. Everything appears to be unraveling. The trailer repeatedly shows panic spreading among Jesus' followers. Nobody knows who can be trusted. Nobody knows what's coming next. And uncertainty is often more frightening than certainty. That's what creates so much tension. The audience knows the crucifixion is approaching. The characters don't fully understand how quickly events are spiraling. Every decision suddenly carries enormous consequences. Every conversation feels dangerous. Every knock at the door feels threatening. And looming over everything is Rome. The Roman presence in the trailer feels stronger than ever. This isn't simply a religious conflict anymore. It's becoming a political crisis. Rome values order above all else. And anything threatening that order becomes a target. The trailer emphasizes military power, armor, weapons, authority, control. It's designed to make viewers feel trapped. Because from a human perspective, Jesus and his followers appear hopelessly outmatched. The empire is enormous. The disciples are frightened. The religious establishment wants Jesus removed. Everything seems stacked against him. And yet, the trailer repeatedly reminds us that Jesus remains calm. Think about that contrast. Everyone else is panicking. Everyone else is reacting. Jesus continues moving forward, almost as if he knows something nobody else understands. Which brings us to one of the most emotional aspects of the entire trailer. The loneliness of Jesus. Perhaps the most heartbreaking theme in Season 6 is isolation. Not physical isolation. Emotional isolation. The trailer repeatedly shows Jesus standing alone. Separated from his disciples. Separated from the crowds. Separated even from those closest to him. And that's devastating. Because these are the people he taught. The people he loved. The people he sacrificed for. Yet when darkness arrives, many of them disappear. Some run. Some hide. Some deny knowing him. Some betray him. It's impossible not to feel the emotional weight of those moments. The trailer suggests Jesus understands exactly what's coming. The suffering. The humiliation. The violence. The cross. And yet he keeps moving forward. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. That's what gives Season 6 its emotional power. This isn't merely a story about betrayal. It's a story about sacrifice. A sacrifice made willingly. And that reality becomes increasingly clear as the trailer reaches its final act. The final section of the trailer feels almost overwhelming. Every shot carries emotional weight. Every piece of dialogue feels significant. The pacing accelerates. The music intensifies. The tension becomes unbearable. And then we begin seeing images connected to the crucifixion. Not necessarily revealing everything, but revealing enough. Enough to understand what's coming. The title of this chapter could almost be No Turning Back. Because by this point every major character has crossed a line. Judas cannot undo his betrayal. Peter cannot undo his denial. The authorities cannot undo their decisions. And Jesus cannot be diverted from his path. Everything is moving toward one destination: the cross. But here's what makes the trailer so powerful. It isn't focused on death. It's focused on meaning. Every sacrifice, every betrayal, every failure, every painful moment leads towards something greater. Something that will eventually transform the world. And that's what makes these events simultaneously heartbreaking and hopeful. The Chosen Season 6 looks poised to deliver the most emotional storytelling in the series' history. Judas' betrayal, Peter's collapse, the disciples scattering, Rome tightening its grip, Jerusalem descending into chaos, and Jesus walking steadily toward the greatest sacrifice ever made. Everything about this trailer feels darker, more intense, more personal, more devastating. But perhaps that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because before redemption comes heartbreak. Before resurrection comes suffering. And before hope changes the world, someone must carry the cross. Season 6 appears ready to bring viewers directly into those unforgettable moments. And if this trailer is any indication, fans should prepare for tears, shock, heartbreak, and some of the most powerful scenes The Chosen has ever produced. But what do you think? Will Season 6 become the greatest season of The Chosen so far? Or do you think the emotional weight of Judas, Peter, and the crucifixion will make it the most difficult season to watch? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future updates on The Chosen. Because the journey to the cross has only just begun. And the most powerful chapters are still ahead.